Alright, welcome to another episode of the In the Hot Seat Podcast, and in this week I will be talking about NWA 74 with Nights 1 and Nights 2. A lot to really get into, and I'm going to get right down into it with Night 1 and what happened, where we did have the Country Gentlemen dealing with Gold Rush on this, and the Country Gentlemen able to get their win there. Rhett Titus dealing with VSK, Rhett Titus being able to get his win there, which is really cool. We also had Ronnie Mack with Aaron Stevens dealing with the Pope on this one. Ronnie Mack able to get his win there against the Pope, which is very interesting to say the least. We had EC3 dealing with Mims, and EC3 was able to defeat Mims. And not only that, we did get to see him for Night 2, so stay tuned on what happened there for Night 2 for EC3. Then we had the next match where we had tag team action dealing with Beelzebub, Bedlam, and as well basically for that tag team match, how it was announced with the Miserably Faithful on this one, the Ill Begotten. On this one, basically the Miserably Faithful actually getting the win. Not too mad at that too, since I've been actually enjoying them as a tag team. We had Chris Adonis dealing with Odinson on that. Chris Adonis actually getting his win there, which is cool to see that. And then we had the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship on the line, Homicide and Kerry Morton. That wouldn't be the first time, because we did get to see Homicide not only get to defeat Kerry Morton, but he was able to not only retain but also defend his championship again at Night 2. Where we had next for the next thing, Matt Cardona basically coming back from injury, which is good to see that. And he was able to basically have a hand-picked opponent. Could have been anybody, but we had Rolando Freeman on this one, and he actually defeated Matt Cardona, and his hand-picked opponent actually defeated him, which is crazy as all hell. So definitely congrats on that. We had the Burke Invitational Gauntlet basically on this one, dealing with all the women basically there, and to see who will be able to face Camille, or of course Taya Valkyrie, the winner of the women's world title match, which happened on Night 1, and to see who will be able to face the winner of that match going into Night 2. And we had Max the Impaler actually winning that, which is really well worth it there. Could have went to really anyone, especially a Kylan King. That would have been really cool to actually see that, but Max the Impaler actually winning. She's been on the roll lately and being able to be basically undefeated in that sense, so it made it for an interesting Night 2, and I will get into that a little later. And then we had the NWA National Heavyweight Championship on the line, dealing with Cyan and Jack Stain on this one. And of course, Cyan was able to actually get the win there and be the National Heavyweight Champion, and being able to deal with Austin Idol, and Austin Idol helping him out and everything as of late, which is really cool to see that. And Jack Stain dealing with Chris Seville Esquire on that, being able to take the loss there, unfortunately. We had the tables match, Bully Ray and dealing with Mike Knox, and being able to see who would be the better attitude. Bully Ray actually putting Mike Knox to the table makes sense there on that. We had the World Tag Team titles on the line, La Rebellion dealing with Hawks RE on this, and being able to see who would be the better out of the teams there, and with the Commonwealth Connection dealing with their fair share of problems, which sucks. One of the members being able to be not feeling too well for Davey Boy Smith Jr., which sucks on that, so hopefully they feel better. And of course, being able to have the new team, Hawks Airy, being able to be in their place, but a lot of Rebellion able to come back and actually retain and keep their tag team titles there. Then we had the NWA World Women's Championship main event, Camille and Taya Valkyrie, a really awesome back and forth match between the two. At one point, I thought Taya was actually going to get another title. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Of course, Camille once again defeating Taya Valkyrie this time, and still looking to be, of course, forever champ, the one-time champ, and looking to be the only NWA Women's World Champion, fearing basically nobody. Also earlier we did have Nick Aldis actually opening things up and basically talking about the importance of basically NWA, and being able to talk about Mickey James and having the respect for his wife and everything, which is really cool for the real pro wrestling family, basically on that, which is really cool. So being able to see Nick Aldis having that respect out there was really awesome to see that. And he did actually get to wrestle for night 2, which I'll get into in a little bit on that. So there's a lot to really deal with night 2, where we had Red Titus again in action, dealing this time with Doug Williams, which is supposed to be in tag team action. But like I mentioned, with his partner being sick, he was able to be in singles action and dealing with a submission match. Those two ended up dealing with a draw, which is a bummer on that. Being able to see that happen, but we'll see what happens. I'm sure things will continue on that. And then we get into Angelina Love dealing with Taryn Terrell. On this one, Angelina Love getting her win there, which is really cool to see that happen. Kerry Morton dealing with Gustavo on that and being able to get his win there. So there is that. And then we get into an interesting matchup. Basically, it would be dealing with a tag team match, a 6-woman tag team match leading into a triple threat match dealing with the people who were tagging with each other, ended up being opponents. And basically to see who would be the queen bee on this one. Very interesting. Sounds confusing, but actually watching it was really cool to be able to see that. So basically had Natalia Markova on this, Maddie Enizel and Mr. Kate dealing with Genocide, Taya Valkyrie and Kylie King on this one, and those three ended up losing on that one, which is pretty surprising. And Natalia Markova ended up dealing with her opponents that ended up being her tag team partners that ended up being her opponents basically, and Natalia Markova being the queen bee and being able to win that match, which is really cool. I could see that actually being a mainstay for NWA, especially for next year for NWA 75 and so on. So that would be really interesting to see. So a different type of matchup, basically NWA mainstay, hopefully for sure. And then we get into the main card where we had a 2 out of 3 falls match. Colby Carino, Caprice Coleman on this one. Really cool back and forth stuff. It couldn't went really either or, since I like both guys, but Colby Carino actually getting the win, which is very surprising to actually see that. And not being able to get a win on that, so that was really cool. Then we get into the Battle Royal to see who would be the new NWA United States Tag Team Champions on this one. A lot of teams basically on this one. I won't name exactly all of them in this one, but that did include La Rebellion as well. The OGK, just to name a few. On that, the OGK were actually my main picks to actually win, but the Fixers actually were able to win. I'm not really mad at that, so the Fixers do roll, so being able to have that happen, which is really cool there. Then we had Mercurio, I believe, on that, dealing with Magic Jake Dumas, and dealing with that match, being able to have Magic Jake actually get the win on there for his match. Then we had some basically an MLW in the building with that for MLW Love, which is really awesome to see. Davey Richards dealing with Throwbilly Salas Manson on this one, and being able to have the MLW National Openweight Championship on the line, and that was actually a really fun match. We had Paul Del Mar on this one, being able to have their own interactions, which is really cool, and being able to have David Richards come back and be able to retain his championship. It was really nice seeing basically an MLW showcase there with the championship, and as well with David Richards being there as well. And then we get into the next thing where we had Cyan dealing with Anthony Mayweather, being able to return and being able to deal with the National Heavyweight Championship, and to see if Anthony Mayweather can actually gain back the title, but that wasn't the case. Cyan was able to once again get a win and keep the national championship, so it was really cool seeing Mayweather back in this one for that. Then we get into, just to make sure, trying to get things pretty much in order in terms of the matches, and then we get into the next match, which is probably one of my favorite matches out of night 2, the street fight between Pretty Empowered and as well the Hex, being able to deal with the World Women's Tag Team Championship match, to see who will be able to not only get the tag team titles back for the Hex, and see how things would be able to deal with Pretty Empowered. We saw basically the use of weapons in this when the Legos being introduced as well, but in the end we had Pretty Empowered somehow being able to come back and actually retain the tag team titles there. And then we get into the junior heavyweight title on the line. Homicide this time dealing with Ricky Morton on this one, and being able to deal with the father, Kerry Morton, and to see if Ricky can actually be able to gain the title, which he did, and Homicide was able to get the win and actually laying out Ricky Morton, which is crazy with that knockout blow. So hopefully things are okay for Ricky on that one. Then we had a really interesting matchup between Nick Aldis and as well Flip Gordon, being able to deal with Flip Gordon to see how things were able to transpire, having that showing of respect, which is really cool, and Nick Aldis actually getting the win there, so that's really cool there. And then we had Odinson basically being sour, dealing with the attack on both Nick Aldis and as well for Flip Gordon. After a while, Nick Aldis was able to actually help out for a bit with Flip Gordon, but then again actually being attacked by Odinson there, which definitely sucks there on that. And then we get into a very interesting tag team match, Aaron Stevens and Rodney Mack, and as well dealing with Kratos and the Pope on this one. And with the Tornado tag team match, it was definitely fun and that, and we got to the point where we got to the screens and everything, so it was kind of like dealing with shadow wrestling. You can see their shadows and they would be able to fight it out and deal with the brawl there. That was really fun, one of my favorite spots of the match, and dealing with that was really cool on the Pope and Kratos getting the win, which is really awesome to see that. And then we had EC3 in action again, dealing with Thom Latimer on this one. They were able to have a promo for night one, and then able to have their match actually happen, but there was a no contest, of course, and Control you never obviously getting involved and wanting to deal with the attack on Thom Latimer on this one, so I'm sure things will continue there. And then we get into, of course, the Women's World Title match on the line, Camille and Max the Impaler on this one. For a good while, Max was actually being dominant and being able to take control, but Camille able to actually find a way in an opening and be able to actually take out Max the Impaler on this one. Very surprising. So definitely Camille is still looking to be forever champ and fears nobody, no man or woman, and basically being able to keep her title. So it's really interesting. I don't know who's going to be able to stop her. There's plenty of other people I thought were going to be able to stop her, but it's really making it really interesting on who will be able to actually fully stop Camille. I feel like everybody in NWA so far has been able to have their chance, so maybe we'll see other people from other companies try and step in and see if they can be able to deal with Camille on that. So that would be interesting to see where things go. So really interesting and cool stuff there. Then we get into the main event, the world title match. Trevor Murdoch dealing with Tyrus on this one and being able to go at it, and Tyrus at times it felt like he was being able to respect Trevor Murdoch, but that wasn't the case after a while, and then we were able to have Trevor Murdoch come back and be able to retain and keep his world title and everything. So I feel like things will continue between the two. That remains to be seen. So really interesting definitely to see those two be able to go at it, especially for the world title on that. So not too sure who else will be able to face Trevor Murdoch next for the world title, besides Tyrus running. I'm sure maybe another match with Trevor Murdoch, so that remains to be seen on that. So that's it for nights 1 and nights 2. What were your favorite matches and moments out of both of them? For sure, I really tend to enjoy these shows, especially around August. So we'll see what happens for next year, but that was for this year. What are your thoughts? Those are mine. Leave it in the comment section for the video version on YouTube, so be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, because it definitely helps support the channel as always. And as well, be sure to listen to the Untitled podcast as always on Anchor and Spotify, or wherever you like to listen and check out your podcast. So until then, I'll catch you guys in the next podcast. Will definitely be for not just for WWE Classic, the Castle, but for Worlds Collide and as well AEW All Out. So a lot is still to come. I'm still looking to do the Jurassic World Dominion review and as well Camp Cretaceous on that. So a lot to look forward to right here for the Hot Seat Podcast. And until then, hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day, your week, and until then, I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Until then, see you then.